Welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is August. What August day is it today?
24th, I think.
24th. Oh, yeah, it is August 24th of 2022. It's been a cloudy day all day, but you know what? Thank you for showing up and watching and doing all that. So if you can like, subscribe, and do, all that fun stuff. Share. Tell your friends and all that about this. For the Uptown Tonight Podcast, which is the FM area's weekly entertainment podcast. I am here today with Mr. Adam Bursack, right there from the Venus and Furs, and you're going to have to coach me in on the rest of it.
Yeah, Adam's Archive on 89.1 KNNZ FM.
Is that every Sunday night?
Every Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Central.
There we go.
And got side project band, the Drones Club, like we mentioned. That's ironically, I mentioned the other day to you when we were talking before. Hadn't done anything with him for a while. Then Tom, the other guy from that, who's in Reno, who I again mentioned before we were on the air. I would say on the air means to radio. I guess we're on the web technically, but sent me a remix.
Technically on the air,
yeah. In fact, this is my first time on an actual podcast. I've been on the radio probably over 100, 200 times or something, but first podcast. But yeah, Tom sent me this 8-minute remix he did. That's like, okay, he told me what he got it from, so it's like, okay, my voice is making a lot of those noises, but I don't know how he got it to things slowed down, sped up, and whatever. So maybe we'll get a new track out of that. You never know.
Beautiful. Beautiful. But I am your host, Wayne Stallenfocker, Discount Tom Cruise, or someone called me Tom Brady. I've been called, as I always wear my Apple shirt on stage, been called Steve Jobs multiple times this summer. Yeah, whatever you want to call me, I don't really care. We normally have Cito here in the seat, but he'll be back hopefully in a few weeks. He's enjoying his summertime, so we're just letting him enjoy that as we carry on with the podcast here. So let me talk about our weekend for a few moments here. So let's see, we played a couple of shows. If I can find my thing. Nope, wrong one. That's not what we wanted. Okay, this is why I like having other people.
It's a little easier with that.
Exactly, so I'm not sitting here searching for things when I'm talking. All right, so, yes, we have JoJo Mayer still available. So those of us who can remember or guess Peter Niblok's first drum set he ever purchased. If you don't know who Peter Niblok is, we have 2 episodes with him on there. Go back and check it out. This guy is fascinating, from Ireland. He's got to check it out. I mean, his background and everything else. Phenomenal dude. And, we've been trying to give this away because basically way back in the day, he was working at Best Buy, and I was going to go teach at Best Buy, even though he was the one who used to teach drums at Best Buy. So that was kind of, I don't know if you'd call it awkward. He didn't make it awkward at all. And we were watching this JoJo Mayer video on the thing and basically bonded over hand technique on all that. So that's still up for grabs. So if you can guess, Peter Niblok's first drum set he ever purchased, ironically, is the same drum set I had purchased first as well. But, decades apart, obviously.
It's on Jeremy's episode of this one. He said he actually knew, because I remember Jeremy talking about Peter quite a bit, and when he was in Venus and Furs. I don't think I've ever met Peter, but...
Oh, yeah. Excellent guy. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy said. He had a lot of stories. Didn't he play with Grant Morrison, Sinead O'Connor, basically every big-name Irish musician?
Yep. Yeah. He doesn't like name-dropping, so I try not to do that for him.
Oh, yeah. Always easier when someone else does your name-dropping.
Exactly.
Then, yeah.
No, but hell of a guy. We're going to have him. He's going to be back on, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. All right, we also have Uptown merch out there, so you can find us at Murphy's Pub this Friday, and you can buy right off the stage a nice Uptown t-shirt. If you're out looking for something like that, make good gifts and everything else. So there we are, that, and let's see, I have a video here for us to peruse, because this is Rose Bowl here at South Dakota, and I just loved how they had 2-tier system. Basically, they had 2 different trailers of different sizes. So I actually kind of got a drum riser out of that, and then cool. We got to put our lighting and all that stuff up there too. So I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And then we can go to this. Oh, there's old Zebras about a year ago. Yep, he doesn't look like that no more. And oh yeah, my daughter is now off to SDSU. That's me in her dorm, and we dropped her off on, I think it was Friday afternoon. I had to rush down there, drop her off, get her all packed in, then rush all the way back so we can get to our first show in Dent, Minnesota. And that went really well. I don't have any photos of that because obviously I was running in hot. Yeah, I just didn't have time for all the extra fun. But there we are. And then there's Cito. He's hugging. We call him Junior. And all Junior's displaying our Uptown merch for us very proudly, even though we do call him drunk when the wind hits him and knocks him off the stage. And then I'm also working with the Moorhead High School Marching Band, so there's the drum line that I've been working with for the past 3 weeks now. So that was their first full-fledged performance, and I just took a quick snapshot of that just because it's like when they're in uniform, it looks really impressive. So there is that, and that is my weekend. But you know what? I'm pretty boring. Let's talk to Adam.
Hello there.
So Adam, what is your story? You got to go all the way back and tell us what makes Adam Adam.
I wish I knew. Yeah, it's chronologically or just that non-linear way that I kind of think.
Any which way you want to do it, but
okay. Well, yeah, am I close enough to the mic, by the way?
If you can get closer, you have to be.
Okay, I'll move it up a little bit. Sure. Yeah, it reminds me of when I'm over doing the live shows at the actual KNNZ FM studio. We got basically the same type of mic set up with different mic, but I've got a little more leeway doing the pre-recorded shows in my basement studio. It's like, just raise the volume after the fact, but can't do that live though. Live radio is still my favorite way to do it. That was, I suppose I'll start about how I got into radio.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, like we were talking about when you talk about this stuff too much beforehand, you forget what you said on the air. But
exactly.
But I think I did say this on the air. I've probably been on live radio dozens of times, hundreds of times, pre-recorded with shows and that kind of thing. But as I said, first actual podcast. But yeah, it's been close to 20 years since I was first on the radio. That was
You've been on the radio for 20 years?
Well,
how old are we, Adam?
I think I was born in a pyramid, so no. My first time on the radio was as a guest. Venus and Furrows were just new and starting out, which still thinking that goes back 20 years. But our first performance was a talent show at school. So, but it was interesting in the 90s or so. I listened to Manchester Avenue. I think it would have been when I was junior high. In any case, Manchester Avenue with Kent Bart's show, rotated around a lot of local and regional stations, but best, hour, 2 hours, however long it'd be, of alternative music. And a couple of years later, Venus and Furs had done a few shows, and this friend of our original guitar player, Joe Schneider, said, he's like, okay, there's this guy with a radio show, but it's pirate radio, so you gotta be a little on the down low about it. But he wants to start having bands playing on there, and he wanted me to talk to you guys about it. And this guy, he helped me out with some engineering stuff at the time, so he had a key and brought us over when Ken was out, working on some building antenna or whatever. And grab some water here. It's ton to wait about how I'm allergic to 90% of animals, so dog hair gets
animal full, yeah.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. I always got a bottle of water next to me at the KNNZ FM studio because Ken's always had at least one cat, pretty much, sometimes a couple. But yeah, we went over there and we're looking around like, this is a cool studio in this guy's basement. I see this awards, something radio engineer of the year plaque. I'm like, why does this guy have a plaque for Ken Bartz? I used to listen to him on Manchester Avenue all the time. It's like, that's who this is. So right at the beginning is this weird synchronicity of I got into a lot of the music that influenced me in Venus and Furs, and then through that show, then the guy who did that show hears it and is like, this is a band I want on my new show. So the influences just going around in a circle. And yeah, we're the very first band to play on, it's the show that's evolved into modern rock worldwide on KNNZ FM now. It wasn't, Kids FM didn't exist then, and it was a low power station, which some would call a pirate station. We try to avoid using the term pirate, but yeah, everything's fully legit for over a decade now these days. But yeah, we were on there. We did this little acoustic set and everything, and came back as guests pretty much ever since.
Well, that's cool. Do you remember the songs that you played the first time?
Yeah, because we got a recording of it somewhere. We played, the few originals we had. We covered Venus and Furs by the Velvet Underground, where we got our name from.
Gotcha.
And I imagine probably a few other covers. Don't remember everything, but I'm very good with archiving everything, which has a little bit to do with the name of my show, probably.
Archive?
Yeah. So I've got these portable hard drives like Venus and Furs, Ken Performance, 2008, whatever, on all these. Basically, anytime it's been recorded, whether he recorded it in the studio or I got it off the air from someone, got archives upon archives of lots of other local bands too that were on there. But we were a band that played pretty frequently, but it was, once Ken's FM was actually a thing, it's always, month by month to stay on the air. It's got to, get donations and everything, be in public radio, no advertisements. So he's doing a fundraiser week, and I think 2013, and getting local musicians to be DJs, like come in a couple of times during the week and do that. And I did that a few times, and then the next year they did it again. And slowly the local musicians started trickling out, and slowly I started liking it more. So
interesting. So you kind of just grew into it.
Yeah, I just kind of caught the bug, so to speak. And eventually it would have been, well, probably for a year or two beforehand, me and Ken would talk about like, oh, I should do a weekly show or something. And, it never became something serious till about 2018 was when Adam's Archive started. It's weird to think it's been just over 4 years now. Still feel like I'm learning the ropes of some of it.
I know this has been on for over a year and a half, and I'm just like, wow, this is number 77. It's like,
yeah, I saw that.
Closing on 100 quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so should I go on about radio, or should I pivot to music, or?
Well, no, that's cool how you got into
okay.
that. So you got in around 2013, and then basically around 2018, that's when you started basically being really hardcore with it?
Yeah, it was, I developed kind of something of a fan base, which is the great thing with, I wish it were easier for the station, to just go to kennzfm.com, click on, stream live on the internet. But the FCC has these technicalities where you have to pay. I mean, Ken could explain it better than I do with all the rules and regulations. But if you have a stream live on the internet on your main page, you have to pay extra. So you can go into the chat room, because it's not the main page, and stream it there. And then Shoutcast, which I think they're based in Canada or the UK. So that weird address that's all numbers I always post with the promo Adam's Archive thing, that's just a simulcast of Ken's FM 24/7. So you can go there and listen on the air, which is how I've gotten the listeners. We've got Itzel from Mexico said she'd be tuning in. She might be in the chat room. She's often in the chat room for Adam's Archive. Got Shanna, or I think it's Shanna, might be Shanna from Australia. And
See, that's awesome right there.
Ambra in a little closer, but still in Arizona, a bit out of the FM range. I think she's tuning in tonight. Pam in Fargo, doing all the shout outs so we can get some highs in the chat room, know who's around.
Yeah, exactly.
But
if you're out there, yeah, go ahead, get in the chat room, ask some questions. We'll try to get you in here.
Yeah, it was neat. I was in music fan groups for bands I really liked and everything on Facebook and all that. So it was almost probably more in my case the out of the range of the FM antenna people who were getting into my show. So I've always probably maybe been the show I mean, I shouldn't say most because I don't know how some of the other DJs put together their show, but focuses more on the internet side. I mean, we're all thinking FM radio first, and I know who knows how many people are tuning in on there. You can't check on the computer like, okay, there's 16 people listening right now, but I play as much local music as I can, but a lot of like independent bands from like one from North Carolina, Death of August, or some from Germany or Australia or whoever. I kind of try to make it global. And
well, that's awesome. But how do you find these bands? Like, they contact you, or you just find them online somewhere? There's something interesting for you?
Yeah, it kind of snowballs. Like I said, there were a lot of groups I was in on Facebook that people started tuning in over the internet, and then someone in that group's in a band. He's like, "Hey, can I send you a demo?" And I found Instagram, as far as the current social media places, they've all got their ups and downs and many downs, but Instagram seems to be the one that's easiest for musicians to kind of get in touch with each other, just the way it's set up. Kind of like MySpace used to be, I suppose, where they didn't make it difficult for bands, because like Facebook, I think they don't want bands taking it over completely. So
it feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, but it's both a lot of independent bands. Now I'll get quite a bit. Someone will say like, "Hey, can I send you our demo track? Send you an MP3, just to your email," that kind of thing. And kind of the tagging things on Instagram, using hashtags and all that. It's like they'll see their friend's band or their favorite band or whatever, and I'll pop up in their feed because of that. So they'll read about Adam's Archive, and then they'll send it to me. And it's pretty cool. A couple of musicians that I grew up loving their work have even reached out. Like Reeves Gabrels, he played guitar with David Bowie for about 12 years. In fact, when I saw David Bowie play live, Gabrels was playing in his band. So when Bowie went back to being weird in the mid '90s, Gabrels was like his right-hand man. So he's
went back.
Yeah, well, he did what Bowie called the sellout years, like Let's Dance and all that. The MTV pop thing, where I read an interview where he said that was the era where people tried to make expensive session musicians sound like cheap synthesizers. It's like, yeah, that sums up so much the sound. Some of those albums he's like remixed and whatever, had his live band like replace the synthesizer parts, like just get a string section, set synth strings, or have his live bass player play the synth bass parts. And most of those tracks sound so much better that have been remixed and all that. But yeah, getting off that a bit. But yeah, Reeves Gabrels, he plays with The Cure now, and he's like shared the stuff online and everything, and messaged me saying, "Oh, thanks for," because I play solo work a lot, which it's got a following, but it's not The Cure or David Bowie.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So Instagram's the place to be, huh?
Yeah, there's some other ones. Facebook, actually, Edge of Dawn, a band out of Germany that I really like. Mario, one half of their kind of electronic duo. He's reached out with that on Facebook, and he's shared things and everything, which is cool too. I was listening to them long before ever exchanging messages. Daniel Ash from Bauhaus and Love and Rockets sent me a message once, and I'm hoping to see Bauhaus in the Twin Cities next month, so maybe I'll be like, "Hey, I'm the radio dude you messaged and said your side project in all capital letters wasn't a band anymore." I mentioned it as a current band on the air. I get this all caps, which I think Daniel Ash, going by the memoir of the bass player for Bauhaus and Love and Rockets, Daniel Ash still likes to drink a tin every now and then. So it wasn't like mad all caps, it was like just not noticing caps was on. And he's like, "That band is no longer around. We accomplished our purpose." It's like, oh, I guess I'll make sure next time to not refer to them as a current side project, but his former side project that accomplished their purpose.
Musicians are strange people. That's what makes them so much fun.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a lot of people that would consider both of us a little strange, but that's, I think, a good thing.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Normal is overrated and boring, I think.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Let's bring you back to brass tacks. Where were you born and all that fun stuff?
Born and raised in Fargo right here. It's been one of those things where, I've had a lot of friends who move out of the area just to move out of the area. Go to the cities, come back 6 months later or something. If I had an opportunity with music, even I've got some going back over a decade now, friends in England who are in music. I don't know if you've heard the group Maps. Their alternative band gets played a lot on KNNZ FM.
Can't say that I have.
They're not real big in the United States, but in Britain they're pretty big. They've done music for. They did a mini-series of Brave New World a while back, new adaptation. Maps did a lot of music for that, but their keyboard player for the last 2 or 3 years is Rachel Kennedy, who's also been a solo artist, had a few other bands. So a few times there's bands in England who are looking for a singer, and I'm chatting with them. It's hey, we could figure out a way. I'd go to London to be in a band. I'd go to Chicago to be in a band, in Minneapolis, whatever. But I've never wanted to just uproot myself just for the sake of it. And it's not anything against people who want to move to Portland, want to move to Minneapolis, just get out of the area. But
gotcha on that. Yep, my daughter down Brookings.
Yep, and I went to school at MSUM, which I think is a big part of that. So the connections you make in college and all that are, for me, just in this area, as opposed to for your daughter, I don't know what she's going into, but she'll probably have a lot of connections in that field by the time she's done with college. That are in, is Brookings, you said, South Dakota?
Yeah, Brookings,
yeah.
SDSU. Yep.
So she'll probably know half the people in her field who live in Brookings.
Precisely. Man, South Dakota's a strange place. I should have put up that sign too, just a little side note, because I'll do that for next week. So you'll be next week. I'll have another picture of pigs next to the sign that I found in her dorm. I'm not going to say it was completely unexpected, but it was something that you definitely didn't think that you were going to read, especially first day in a dorm.
That sounds very curious, and I'm absolutely with you.
That one, yep.
South Dakota is a weird place. Me and I mentioned Tom so much. He's one of my best friends, and he's one of the co-founders of Venus and Furs. We had basically the name of the Drones Club came from, we'd do duo shows on KNNZ FM, and then when Tom was too busy with work to continue with Venus and Furs, we realized, you can't say Adam and Tom of Venus and Furs anymore. We got to have a new name. So we came up from this series of novels by P.G. Wodehouse, turned into a great show, Jeeves and Wooster with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, early 90s British comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Hugh Laurie's fan right here.
It's a great show. It's kind of hard to find, but I'm sure BritBox or one of those British streaming services probably has it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure you tell me about that before you leave.
Yeah, but Tom had the VHS tapes, so you can
nice.
Tell we were into it for a while. And there's this social club called the Drones Club, where they go to do their Swedish exercises, but not knowing that, it sounds okay, are they a drone racing league? Are they talking about drone warfare?
That's what I thought, it was some kind of drone type music thing that we were doing, because we had Duster in here, and he had this it was a cool little instrument. Basically, it looked like it's some alien thing. You put your fingers on there and just some oscillators and stuff, and so you manipulate the sound just by moving your fingers around. It was really cool.
And we did some of that. I used a stylophone, which again goes back to David Bowie. It was this little pocket synthesizer he used, but just make these really long drones when Tom's doing something on guitar or keyboards. So there's some of that, but I lost track of the original thing, talking about the Drones Club now. But it's looking up from I studied psychology enough in college. I think it's circumstantial talking. It's when you talk in circles, but eventually go back to your original thing.
We'll get to the point.
Yeah, as opposed to tangential, where you lose the point and never go back. So there's a difference. It's subtle, but it's there.
That never happens in here.
No, never at all. I've seen a couple of your reruns, never once seen it happen. 10 times seen it happen, but not once.
No, so where'd you go to school at then? You're always up in...
Yeah. Grew up in, a couple different houses in North Fargo, but I went to Horseman Elementary. The
oldest elementary school in Fargo, and apparently there's the rumor of the elephant being buried under
the elephant
I
story.
So want to get in there for one of our ghost hunting episodes.
That would be great. It's a creepy place, and it's haunted by things that aren't ghosts, because I had to switch to Madison in my 6th grade year because and I'm sure it's fixed up now. It would be against 100 regulations, but they had, because it's so old, mold or asbestos or something in the ceiling, and I have asthma, so I would be missing so much school and getting sick, and everyone's like, okay, what's happening? And then figured out it was sending my asthma off so much I had to be transferred to another school. So I went to Madison Elementary School, near the 12th Avenue Bridge, I think it is. Yep. The place they call the Ridge. And so I went there for a while, rest of elementary school, then went to Ben Franklin Junior High, Fargo North, and then MSUM after that.
Oh, all schooling done in town.
Yeah.
So when did you start getting into music?
That was...
Around what age or...
Probably a bit of a late bloomer. Only in the sense that I know people who've been like, oh, I started playing guitar when I was 8 or something. And for me, it was more, even just getting into, what you call, popular music. I was kind of a late bloomer with that because I was more interested in books and video games and stuff for a long time. But I started getting into like alternative rock and things really when I was like 14 or so. And before long, it was... Again, Manchester Avenue was a part of that, but I'd be listening to these songs and think, man, I should, I'm not liking playing trumpet in the school band. Trombone was kind of fun, but then Tom dropped out of band after the first year, so I switched to trumpet because I had more friends in that section. But, yes, so I'm like, yeah, I wish I could play guitar or something. And my grandma, who was still around at the time, was kind enough to buy me a guitar, because she was always very supportive of music and all that. Started from there, and also I like to play guitar, and it's good for songwriting, but I've never been like a good reliable on stage guitarist, which is why you rarely see me playing live with a guitar. But I had a garage band going with Joe Schneider and Mike Thorsgaard, who were two of the founding members of Venus and Furs. Our friend James Schaefer was with us for a while. And then, because he played a little bit of bass, kind of lost interest, Tom came in on bass. Our friend Dan Gillespie eventually came in on second guitar. But before Danny came in, there were 4 of us. Me and Joe were both playing guitars. I was writing lyrics. There's no one to sing them. But I thought, even now when I'm not on the radio or not on stage, I'm a pretty shy, socially awkward type. So I was like, oh man, I got to be like Pete Townsend, find a flamboyant guy to sing these lyrics I'm writing. And we weren't finding our Roger Daltrey, so it's like, man, I know Joe was way ahead of all of us. He was like playing the organ in church. He's told, name dropping, we were talking about that earlier, but when we recorded Steve Albini at Electrical Audio, he just said to Joe, if you're ever in Chicago, I'll recommend you as a session piano player for people, because he saw Joe playing the grand piano there, and he's like session musician level on piano, but pretty dang good on guitar too. So I was that's pretty badass. I did more harm than good with my guitar playing, because I'm like, I know 3 chords, man. Wrote this punk rock song, and here's the lyrics. No one's gonna sing. Hey, it might sound better if you sang, and maybe focus on your singing, so you can put your guitar over there. And so that's kind of how I got into the singing thing, and eventually, went from just plugging a microphone that came as probably some stereo system into a guitar amp, but found a way. I
remember those days all too well.
Literally in Mike's garage. We were a garage band. So from then on, I became kind of a singer-songwriter who eventually could just get into the right headspace to perform on stage, which, I would have never thought until probably that first talent show where my English teacher was one of the judges. And so I see her in the front row, and I come out, eyeliner, total gothed out. I've like streaks of black in my hair that I did with mascara.
Nice.
And we're doing this goth punk stuff, and I see her go. Her face turns white, and
the transformation.
Yeah, she the next Monday in class, she's like, something like, I thought you were such a nice boy, but now I just don't know. And people were asking the other guys in the band, what school does your singer go to? It's like, what, Adam the quiet nerdy kid? That he's your goth dude, you know. So yeah, I was kind of a singer-songwriter.
What grade and age was that?
That was mid-high school.
Okay.
So yeah, and you know, it's Venus and Furs. We were around a long time, but in a way, I was kind of counting this up before I came on. It's like, how many kind of separate eras were there? And it's kind of like, it was really like 4 different bands that never changed the name. So, but
good branding's good branding.
Yeah, that's the original. And a couple of times, in fact, it might have been, for the listeners who don't know, Wade played drums with us for, was it maybe a year or so he played?
Yeah, I was with you in the basement there. That was with Jay and Jeremy Grinsteiner.
Yep, he's been on here, of course. He's really doing the bodybuilding, working out, exercise trainer stuff these days.
Yeah, he's doing great with that.
Yeah, it's a field I never would have guessed he would have gone into from, you know, knowing what he was into. But same way my English teacher would have never guessed that I would go into being a flamboyant rock singer on stage. So people always surprise you. But yeah, it's like the first era was the founders. It was Mike and Tom and Joe, Danny, and me. And, you know, that was the era of that. And longest running was when Corey and Tessa, who I'm sure you and a lot of people just know by reputation.
Is Tessa in town again? Or
she's actually in Portland, living out there with her longtime partner. They had a band called Amelia, who I saw when they came through here on tour. And her name's Jen, real nice girl. And Tessa has I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm not a car guy. I think auto detailing, you'd call it, business. It's called Encore is the name of it, which is kind of neat. They both have musical backgrounds. And I'm hoping we'll maybe, even if, you know, they're busy with that and can't tour, maybe put out another EP or something, because that's how Amelia started. Was, I guess, Tessa was telling me about it once. It was a long distance project. Jen came through here with one of her other bands on tour. I think she's maybe from Nebraska, Ohio kind of area. I might be completely wrong, so sorry, Tessa and Jen, if you're listening and I'm like off completely, but they're friends. And then they'd write songs. You know, Tessa wrote a lot of our guitar riffs and stuff. She played like every rock instrument, just as best as a performer on drums. So
I'd love to have her.
Oh yeah, she was
podcast. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure if she's in town and's got the time, I'm sure she'd love to be on here too. But
Tessa, if you're listening out there, get a hold of me.
I'd love to just jam with her again too. And yeah, that was kind of the definitive lineup in a way of just like most shows played, most songs written and everything. It was Tessa on drums, Corey on rhythm guitar, Joe on lead guitar. And then Mike and Tom were both kind of in and out because they moved out of the area and back in. Mike was our original drummer, and he was kind of a garage rock drummer, but in college learned bass and piano just really well. So he would come back as a bass player, and kind of Tom would play keyboards if Mike was there, and play bass if Mike wasn't there. Oh. And they'd switch off during the set too, because Tom plays keyboards and bass, Mike plays keyboards and bass. So, but yeah, that was kind of the definitive one. Of course, later was the Jeremy and Jay era when you played with us, and Todd played with us before you.
And Jeff Van Ort. Almost forgot.
That was always funny on stage, because, you know, it'd be the end of a song, I'd be out of breath and in the zone from singing and all that, and I'd try to introduce you guys. And there was me, you, and then 3 guys whose names started with J, all playing some form of guitar. And I don't think I ever got it right, especially because Jay and Jeff switched instruments at one point. You know, Jeff was, I think this was when Todd was still in the band, but Jeff joined on bass. Okay. Jay switched to guitar, but decided he liked playing bass with us better. And Jeff was more of a guitarist anyway, so they switched back. So I'd be like, and that's Jeff on guitar, point to Jeremy. That's Jeremy on bass, point to Jay. And it was just a crapshoot trying to get their names right when you're in the performance zone, trying to catch your breath, remember which song's next on the set list. So that was always kind of funny. But yeah, the 3 J's and then me, and first it was Todd, then it was you, and that was kind of the Jeremy and Jay era of the band, so to speak.
There we go. No, that was a lot of fun. I remember that distinctly. Yeah. Yes.
I found some. I think I just sent them to you this morning. I sent you, a number of pictures.
Oh yeah, we do have some photos of that. Should we get into your photos while we're talking about this?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
When we played St. Cloud that time, when you were in the band, I sent you some St. Cloud pictures.
Here we go. All right. Oh yeah, straight off the cuff. I recognize the drum set.
Oh, yeah. There's a reflection from the light, so I had to kind of tilt over to see it. But yeah, that's St. Cloud show right there with you on drums. You got Jeremy J and Jeff, Street J's. Of course, me singing. Well, we haven't even gotten to the art yet, but that's me at Bab's Coffee House for the Neon Jazz exhibition. The Neon Jazz. It was interesting. It was very neon themed. That piece is called Cold Sun, and they had this jazz ensemble playing at the opening. The Art Syndicate, I think they're kind of new, but they put on a lot of art shows. There's one coming up. Well, the deadline for submitting, I'm going to try to submit something, is early to mid-September.
Oh,
and yeah, they went all out. Like I look like that because it's a black light. That's not like a filter or anything on me. And yeah, that's.
Wow, this thing's jumping all over the place.
Yeah, Darren Gibbons used to work at the Forum. He's a photographer that did that photo shoot. Traded a bike for the photo shoot with him to pay him. He was looking for a mountain bike for one of his kids, I think, and I had this one I didn't use. But yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures ever, probably, of Venus Furs, because he just gave me the direction be serpentine. So I started doing this Axl Rose shimmy kind of thing. And then I thought, okay, snake, serpentine, they just suddenly strike. So I just jumped forward and got that shot just mid.
That's awesome.
Lunge.
There's just so much energy in that photo.
Yeah.
It's great.
Still one of my favorite non-live pictures of Venus and Furs of all time. And that's the Tessa Corey era. It's Aaron Berge, who after Joe left the area for college and stuff, he joined on guitar. Then Tom's wearing his mermaid shell bra in the background. And, Tom's got interesting fashion sense. And yeah, that's Jason Siebel's buddy, both of us. That's the promo shot for last fall from September to November. I had an exhibition of my mixed media visual art at the Spirit Room downtown. It's called Contaminated Nightmares. Jason was kind enough. He's taken a lot of Venus and Furs pictures too. Renegade Photography, if you want to check them out, that's like his photography.
As you should, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the best in town.
Yeah, probably best photographer I know personally.
Yeah, me too.
And he did a promo shoot for that with me posing in front of some of the artwork. There's a guitar made out of bones that attracted a lot of people's attention the most. He took a few pictures of me playing that one.
Now, did you have that guitar? I know that photo's going to pop. There it is.
Yep.
Did you have that when I was playing in the band?
I had a version.
I have a recollection of that one sitting in the corner.
Yep. Yeah, that was sitting in the corner for a long time. Kind of version 1.0.
Oh.
Was actually, I was still in high school, which was kind of how, some materials are harder to get. Like, I wish I could do more with clay, but you can hardly have like a kiln in your basement. So, but they had a lot of these bones around, and I thought, man, that I believe it's a horse skull. I could be wrong. It could be some other, cow or deer or something. But I bought a cheap guitar, took the neck off of it, got one of those acoustic guitar pickups, put it in there, and it's not great as a working guitar, but it does play. And it originally had more bones on there and things, and it's actually harder to play because of it. But I think, I mentioned this at the opening reception of my exhibit. My art pieces, I don't necessarily make all of them to be something you hang on the wall that never changes. Some are, for lack of a better term, they're kind of alive and they evolve. I might mix oil and water, so the paint changes over time because they don't really mix together, or something like that.
Interesting.
The bones that were, not in a ergonomic place weight-wise and whatever, fell off, so it ended up looking more sleek, and also was easier to play as a guitar. So it's like, okay, that's what that piece wanted to do. Who am I to stop it from evolving?
Interesting.
Yeah, another Darren Gibbons shot. That was downtown Fargo. They've got sort of like a public graffiti wall in the background where that used to be. And that was some old bed we found laying in the alley. No one in the band, because I was in the zone, like you saw in that.
Yep.
I was like, I'm on stage, so I'm like, I'll lay down in here, and everyone's like, dude, you've got OCD, and you're laying on this bed that some bum probably emptied his bladder on. And afterwards,
about it.
yeah, I was like, how did I do that? But yeah, that's another good shot, though, the way my hands up front. That's a very large piece. I wish I had one of that sort of scale for something that was on display at the Spirit Room. That's one of a few, I should note, Moorhead Public Library still has most of the pieces from the Contaminated Nightmare display. They moved that from the Spirit Room after. Terry Janicek, who's been on here, her exhibition started after mine at the Spirit Room.
Oh, nice. In
November. But a lot of times they'll move. They did this with their Great Winter Crow show recently. They'll move things to one of the libraries. And mine's just kind of been the Moorhead one. And when they need to put another exhibit there, I guess is when I'll take that down. But for now, most of it is there. Though I was going to say that's one of the exceptions, because I've only got one friend whose car that will fit in. That painting is so big, and she works the entire time the Spirit Room's open. So we're still trying to find a way to move it.
Well, it just needs to stay there then.
Yeah. That's playing at the Fine Line Music Cafe in Minneapolis. We played there a few times. That's the lineup of same as the one before, but when Todd Rosiska, great musician, yes. you know him well too, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. You guys went to college together, didn't you?
I met him when we were renting. We were renting a rehearsal space, and he was in Recaster. That took me a while.
Yeah, that's
He was playing there with just a 3-piece, and it just kept blowing my mind what he could just do with that 3-piece drum set. And
yeah,
it was one of those things. I was running around this damn 7-piece all the time, and so then that's when I started stripping things down.
It was weird because, you know, when I was a little too young to be going to the shows and stuff, but knew about the big local bands, there's Orange 17 and Recaster. The ones I always heard about. And Todd's so modest, he's like the least name dropper of all name droppers.
Yep. So
it's basically Jeremy knew a guy from college. I think that's why I was thinking of that, because it was when Jeremy, you know, was going to school with you and Todd and Jeff and everyone.
Todd might have been there, yeah.
And I could be wrong. Maybe he just knew him during that same time, but he's like, yeah, Todd's this really good drummer. And I knew him from doing industrial stuff, Immune System and all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's cool. And after a couple of months, that was when I was like, this is the guy from Recaster and from an industrial band that he's hesitant to mention their name for whatever reason, but they were on a label. I had their CDs in high school, and he was, I think, just touring drummer for a while for those guys. Might have recorded a little bit. So I didn't realize this guy playing with us in my basement was a guy whose band I had CDs with, or CDs from in junior high. But long way around, that's that same lineup, but with Todd on drums at Fine Line. My cousin Dylan Walter, maybe he's tuning in, or his mom Beth. He took those pictures. Real good photographer. He takes a lot of live band pictures.
The same place, same time.
It's great to have played. They got one of the best backstages ever been in. Just thinking, you know, The Faint, Gary Newman, probably 100 other bands I'm into have all played at that place. It's like one step down from First Avenue, size-wise.
Right down the street, though.
Yeah.
I've never played there. Jealous.
I was almost going to play. That's another. Those are the back rooms of the Spirit Room, the hallways and things. Oh. Couldn't see the art, but Jason just got this idea to photograph me in various ways back there. And
that green backlight.
Yeah, I was talking about David Bowie before. He's at least into the artwork of David Bowie's albums anyway, because there was Heathen, Low, a few other ones. We were kind of inspired by that for some of those shots. Like there's one me side profile, like Bowie on the cover of Low. So I got like this scowl on my face for whatever reason. But yeah, there's me at Ken's. Ken took that picture. That's the studio when I'm live on the air. And that's where anyone who's live on the area is when Ken does Modern Rock Worldwide and everything. It's actually in Ken's basement. I'm sure a lot of people would be blown away to know that Ken's FM is run, all volunteer, with one lifelong radio veteran who wanted to have a public radio station his whole life, finally got it at about 60. Some people, because he got the call letters KNNZ on purpose. So people are like, oh, there's actually Ken's FM? I'm like, yeah, Ken basically is Ken's FM. But yeah, that's his basement control place. So yeah, that's that side profile shot that Jason took with the Contaminated Nightmares writing at the top. Some
love that look.
Mixed media piece in the back. Yeah, I've grown to like that one. Oh yeah, that's from North Dakota. I had my phone around here with some notes on it somewhere, but I think I can remember the North Dakota Human Rights Arts something festival, which started off at the Plains Art Museum in January. So that's from like the program from that, the picture of me, and then the description, and the piece you can see in there, a mixed media piece called Bleak Summer. But that's been traveling.
You got pieces in the Plains Art Museum?
Yeah, it was there like 2 months, and currently it's at the...
That's nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a really neat feeling, just going there on field trips in elementary school and seeing my piece on the wall there. Since Gallery 4, I've got 2 pieces there right now for an exhibition. I think they're in some pictures coming up. But yeah, that's traveling all throughout the year around the area. It's at the Taube in Minot right now, only through the 26th. So if you're in Minot, want to check that out pretty soon. I've had a few pieces in the Taube though. Pretty neat. I haven't gotten to go see them in person because it's in Minot.
It's Minot. Oh, we're going the other way.
Found where my phone is on the floor there.
We got this.
That's where I kept my
sneak away on you all the time.
My convenient notes turned out to not be as convenient, but yeah, it's the North Dakota Human Rights Film and Arts Festival. Right now it's at the Taube in Minot through October 26th. I don't know where it's going next, but if you're seeing this later on after the 26th, and I'm sure if you Google it or something, you'll find out where it currently is. But yeah, it's on tour for longer than I've ever gone on tour.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, my aunt Beth Bradley had a piece in there too. She's an artist as well. So her son Dylan was the one who took those live photos there. It runs in the family, art and photography.
Oh, nice.
My dad was a good photographer too. I remember a framed picture we had at our house when I was a little kid for a long time. And someone mentioned my dad took that. It's like, what? I thought they bought it at a gallery or something, but
that is killer.
Yeah.
Nope, the only artistic people. Well, I guess my dad's sort of artistic. He used to do like sign painting, like actual, like I can't even come up with a name,
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I can't quite think of that either.
But yeah, so basically, like you go up to an old 5 and dime store, they have the painting on or like all the advertisements on the windows and stuff. He'd be doing things like that, or sides of semis. I remember him doing all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
So,
yeah.
Actually, artistic things. He has a few pieces from school that were kind of neat, but he's got all that with him. So.
Yeah, I take after my mom the most. She's a professional writer, published a book and everything.
Yeah.
And like I've always said, as a musician, I'm a songwriter first, and then a musician. And I remember when you were in the band or talking about that. I've majored in creative writing in college and everything, and there's some bands that just throw words on top of a song.
Exactly.
And I really try to be a lyricist, and
you gotta check out John Huber. I think he was one of the first 10 that's been in here, but he is in a band called Shotgun Facelift. They're gonna be back on for our October or for our Halloween special. At least they're tentative for that right now, so that's gonna be a really cool one. But they've been on tour for a while. But he'll blow your hair back talking about lyrics and stuff.
Didn't he write a novel or something too?
Yeah, he does graphic novels.
Oh,
all
cool.
Horror stuff. And he's all these conventions. Yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah, I always find that interesting. Like, was a band. I was thinking of it because I was watching your Gradients interview last night, and they mentioned that Battle of the Bands they played at MSUM. Coincidentally, this would have been 2020 when the Kansas FM Halloween fundraiser was going on.
Okay.
My friend Kara Brusvin, who great guitarist, she's got a scholarship to the Frost Institute in Miami, the Mancini, as in Henry Mancini Fellowship.
Nice.
So yeah, she's academically above and beyond just about anyone I know musically. Brilliant guitar player, and she was going to be playing at this thing, and because of COVID, it was all online. So I tuned in and I see this band playing last. I'm like, those guys are pretty cool. And it's like, oh, they're great Gradients. So Ken was still looking for bands to play on the air. I told him about Gradients. That's how they got involved
perfect one
with
for
all
it,
that. But they're friends with this band that played Kansas FM before called Understudy. They remind me in a way of Young Venus and Furs.
Okay.
Because I see Spencer wearing all black. He's the singer and lyricist. Band who, honestly, and they'd be the first to admit it, I'm not putting them down, they look like they might not have gotten a chance to practice enough, which with Venus and Furs was an issue too. Sometimes everyone's got schedules, but hearing he's so, I don't know, he's only like 20 or something, and the lyrics that guy writes, there's a song, they've got some songs you can look up, like Dead End is a great one, they're on Spotify, but the killer, that there's only a Kansas FM session of that. I'll play that on my Sunday show. I've played it on there a lot. That just the lyrics of that, it goes into like referring to like Tennessee Williams plays and all that stuff. It's like, I don't know if he's going into like literature and creative writing in school, but I would bet some money that he probably was. And he just came to mind talking about, like, was it John? Was that the Shotgun Face?
John Huber, yeah.
John Hubert, yeah. Some of the local and regional ones who really just, the lyrics, it's like reading a poem or something, it really makes you think. Yeah. That song especially, like, just because I think, man, he's describing again in a third person, this artistic kind of guy who wears all black and all these things. I'm like, man, how did Spencer write a song about me before I even knew him?
Came in a dream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to break off here real quick into our weekday report so we can get that out there. But we're going to leave you with this one question. If you can only choose one art form to go on from today on for the rest of your life, which one would it be? And we're just going to hold you off on that one.
Okay, that's a good one. I'll have to think a little bit.
Tease you on that. And this time we're going to get to the weekly report. Cito, we missed you, man.
Okay.
All right, we're going uptown. Right on the windbreak. Tyler Hammond's going to be there on Ladies Night and Friday, the 25th and 26th. The Red Roses will be playing Saturday, hitting the stage, the windbreak, hanging out with Butter and all them. The Sanctuary Event Center, we have a Sleep at the Wheel Thursday the 25th. Shooting Star Casino in Monoman. Colt Ford is there on Friday. Then Radio Nation will be in the Mustang Lounge Friday and Saturday, 26th, 27th. At the Blue Stem Amphitheater, we have Amy Schumer, Jay McBride, and Mia Jackson. Going to be doing doing a lot of stand-up tomorrow night, the 25th of next Thursday, tomorrow. We got our acoustic corner going downtown. Let's see, Wednesday, August 24th, tonight. We got Cold Sweat and Matty J, Camp Lone Tree, 701 on the route. And Matt Ockrey at the Midtown Tavern. We got Rachel Nero at the Roundup Saloon, and I'm going to butcher the name, Jamek is at the VCR. Jamek, I'm going to go with that for now. Someone correct me out there. All right, Thursday, August 25th, you have Nick Pine, Pub West, Dan Downer doing the Spicy Pine, West Fargo. Matt Ockrey is going to be at Silver Spike. Dylan Sperlin's at the Jasper Hotel. Zach Thomas at the Delta Hotel. Daniel Christensen will be at Fargo Brewing. Matty J is going to be at Camp Lone Tree, again, on the route at 701. Rick Adams at the Newman Outdoor Field Red Hawks. Be out there playing for them. Oh, yes. The MSU, Moorhead High School Marching Band is going to be out there playing the Star Spangled Banner tonight. So if they're out there, or if you hear about that, those are the guys. All right, then we have Mike J. Morris, Hooligans, and then Shane Bertrand is at Sweet Shots. Sweet Shots apparently is going to be having acoustic stuff going there for Thursday from now on. When we going downtown, Front Street Tavern, we have Vinyl and Dino tomorrow night, an open mic night with Travis Neros Monday the 29th. At the Cellar, we have Mirana Barksdale, Evan Berkey, and Paula Kwinsky. This basically, I think they're from Tennessee. I think it's a Nashville Invasion, they called it, or something like that. We'll have more stand-up in the Cellar there, so that'd be a cool one to go check out. Patrol Lounge, we got Tucker Dow Thursday, Pat Leonards and Jake Schiefbauer on Friday, and then Phil Kerr and Rick Peterson will be rounding it up Saturday, 27th. Fargo Brewing Company, we got Dirty Honey and Max Saturn Saturday, 27th. And at Murphy's Pub, only a few blocks away from here, we got that weirdo band Uptown who's going to be playing there Friday night. So come on out, get some merch, hang out, dance, do what you got to do. It's going to be a good time. All right, downtown Dempsey, we got open mic with Gina Powers Thursday, 25th. And then 6th Street Review that Friday the 26th. We have the aquarium. We got Jackson L. Ross Friday the 26th. And then they got an aquarium bazaar on Saturday 27th. They're going to have all sorts of stuff up there. They got music, they got dancing, they got comedians, they got basically any kind of entertainment you can think of. Artwork's going to be out there. So go out and check that out. Tailgaters Retrolution is going to hit the stage on Thursday. At the Moorhead Public Library, this is my favorite band name of this week. The Meat Rabbits are going to be out there tomorrow, Thursday, and they are actually, I think they call themselves a punk polka band, something like that.
Sounds like something Jeremy would like.
Yeah, it looked really interesting. I didn't know they existed. They've been around for a while. Okay, DCR from Crown Ralph. We got open mic night with Travis Neros. Go out and hang out with Travis on Thursday, tomorrow night. And BFW The Grits will be hitting the stage Friday and Saturday. Now we're going out of town. The Owen Minot Tantric and Smile Empty Soul is going to be hitting the stage tomorrow night, Thursday, 25th. At the Laughing Sun Brewing, our favorite brewing company on the Mandan Bismarck area. We got Dad Bod on Thursday. See, Dad Bod would have been until you got Meat Rabbit. So, it's just how it's working this week. Okay, Desperate Electrics on Friday, and then Matty J and Friends Saturday, 27th. At Zorba's in Park Rapids, we got Brianna and Zach to be hitting the stage Friday. Then Fourth Wave on Saturday, 27th. And that place, if you're a musician, they treat you right. I love that place. I'll go play that any single day they want, even if it's on Christmas. Zorba's in Detroit Lakes. You got Pirates, Guitars, and Beachfront Bars on Saturday, the 27th. And I believe that's all we have for this week's Weekend Report. Cito, I miss you, man. Still, let's get back to Adam.
Hello once again. Convenient time for me to go and grab some more water. We were talking about the allergies earlier. Between everyone's allergies are bad with this weather. Anyone I know with allergies, and combining that with like I said, the pet hair and everything. I've really been chugging water.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
keep
that.
my voice. Oh no, it's
They do what they do, and they do it well.
Yeah, same as when I'm at the KNNZ studio. There's a studio cat there. Best friends with my black coat. He thinks it's a weird looking cat. His name's Cooper, and yeah, wherever I put my coat, he runs up and he basically camouflages in it because he's a black cat too, but he loves that coat. I think he thinks it's just this big, funny looking cat,
Well, hi, Cooper. Yeah, I know my cat. I always have to sit there in the morning, and I have to put on a different shirt than the one I'm going to be wearing out there because he likes to. We call it spreading his love. He has to come and cuddle on you, and then he gets up, and it's just a big orange spot. It's actually pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, art form.
Yeah,
Which one would you pick for the rest of your life if you had to?
Yeah, that was a good question because I haven't really thought about it. Is my mic level okay, by the way?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, yeah, the radio thing has always got me checking on that. I've usually got the board in front of me, so I'm live, so it's got that.
Well, I should have had you sitting over here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dials, and I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah. Well, I know the basics. Ken had to show me again every time for maybe a year or two, and then I finally know enough to do like a broadcast on my own over there. But there's certain sliders and knobs I don't want to touch. It's like, oops, turn off the entire antenna for the region.
I just know Cito got the whole thing set up, and it sounds really good out there, so we just kind of left it, and I just do some mic levels.
That's basically what I do when Ken sets it up for the live ones. But yeah, that was a good question. I never really thought about that. And I kind of had one initial answer, and then it kind of changed. Because at first I was thinking writing, because that's, like I said, and that was really the first thing. This is a memory. I probably remember it more because of my mom and people reminded me of it, first grade. I don't know. I've always had a weirdly good memory, which is where some of the archive stuff comes from, because I talk about it on the air. Yeah, when I looked at the liner notes for this CD in the 90s, I noticed it was produced by blah, 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 and look it up on Wikipedia, and I was right, so.
That's not me.
Yeah. So it's like short-term memory I'm not good with, but it sticks in there and eventually gets lodged in long-term, then I'm good. But first grade, we had to write a story. First grade story, it's usually a paragraph, my dog smells or something. But I wrote this. We're supposed to write about the circus, multi-page story about the elephants and the clowns and everything. And my teacher brought to show the principal and called my mom about how good at writing I was. So I'm a writer by life. So first I was thinking writing, but then I thought, there's nothing like playing music on stage. And music is the one I miss the most. Like, I'm unfortunately between bands and projects now. So, hey, if you're looking for a singer who can do a really low sepulchral voice, the voice of the vampire is Itzel, who she might be in the chat room, said I have the voice of a vampire. And that's what, what's his radio name? Icon at KNNZ 89.1. He said, you have the best voice for Halloween of anyone at the last fundraiser. But yeah, any bands looking for that type of singer, give me a call. Maybe.
Yep, there's a whole bunch of ways to get a hold of them in the description down below. So you can find them on Facebook, on Instagrams.
Yeah.
What else I have on?
Adam Bursack Archive Adam Bursack Artist. I'm sorry, on Instagram. Adam Bursack on Facebook. If you want to just find Venus and Furs music, we've got some on Bandcamp. Look for Venus and Furs on there.
And that's linked down below as well.
Yep.
So check it on out.
But yeah, I was thinking writing, and I thought, no, I think it's music and the reason, not playing music, and I'm sure you probably know this too, it's like you go into like withdrawal.
Yep.
If a lot of musicians, I'm sure over COVID were like that. But last time I played live was really interesting concept, but unfortunately short-lived. This project that we were just, in fact, it was booked as a solo thing for me because we didn't have a name. People knew who I was, but it was a duo that we were trying to do like electronic, but with guitar, but not like industrial metal chugga guitar, like shreddy, wheedly guitar, like, I don't know, England Malmsteen playing with V&V Nation or something. That's a little sidetracked, but it's been almost 3 years since I've been on stage, and I've just been, since then.
He's jonesing for a hit, guys.
Yeah. So I would say music, and some of that is because music is writing for me, like the lyrics and the songwriter. If I, for some reason, was legally barred from writing anything but lyrics, and I wanted to write a novel, I'd write an hour-long prog rock opus with that novel for the plot. I could work that in there.
That's a very interesting idea. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, visual art, the same thing. I love doing that. But like I mentioned, the way I changed my appearance so much, people asked what school I went to. Visual art, the way I physically express myself on stage. So music really brings it all together in addition to just being the one I personally like the most, I think. So I would choose music.
Nice. Excellent. All right, you ready for a little juvenile destruction?
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, this one's recycled because I know Adam got to see my destruction of a driveway right now since I basically had to redo half my basement. But here's this week's Off the Roof Recycled. Go. I love it. I don't know what Adam brought into this room, but all of a sudden the sound started working again, so you can actually hear what's going on.
Yeah, radio mode.
I'll go with that.
Oh!
Came apart all right.
Yeah. Are these all like your old laptops?
Oh, it's just random stuff now.
Yeah.
Yep, one of the dumbest but funnest things I ever do. Just destroy things in front of you.
Reminds me of a Venus and First music video that I can get to after that. When I was in, and I'm going to be blowing my own horn as a writer again, but
that's fine.
Yeah, I took film class at MSUM, and it was because I was in creative writing, and my professor, he liked the screenplays so much, he talked to the late great Rusty Castleton at the film department, and I was able to get into a filmmaking class without taking the prerequisites, which I was not good technically with running the cameras and stuff, but people would kind of help me out. I'd rewrite their script. They'd like do the cinematography for me or whatever. But we did the band. I mean, it was 10 years ago. You probably don't remember every song title offhand, but do you remember playing Freak Show with us at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Freak Show and Bring Out Your Dead.
Bring Out Your Dead.
I freaking love that one.
We did in a digital filmmaking class as a group. We did a video for Bring Out Your Dead, which I wish I had this director's cut, because one of the guys who meant well re-edited everything. He also put it on YouTube, which just kind of makes me cringe, because it's like not the greatest music video, which making it by committee in a class, I understand why they had to do that, but
how would you make a video with committee?
Well, it was what we ended up doing. There were basically two good directors in the group. They did basically, I did some B-reel footage with it. Actually, still, Tessa always had a camcorder around. Like, I would have so much great Venus and Furs footage if I could convert that to digital.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, what do you used to hear about Dimebag Darrell? They put out like 3 or 4 just tour documentaries because he never didn't have a camcorder. But that's how Tessa was. So I got a little camcorder footage of just weird background stuff. But Ashley and Matt, they were good at the directing stuff with the digital cameras. Another guy, he wanted to do the video for Damn Kids, which is a joke song. I don't know if you remember that one.
I remember that one too after you said that.
And we're like, no, we're doing Bring Out Your Dead. And he just booked it after that and wasn't involved with it. So it was technically only 3 people. And I was more because I was in the video. But yeah, editing, Ashley and I put together one, cut on the beat, all that music video stuff.
Yep. And
another guy wanted to, he meant well, but tie it up, in a different way. So it didn't work as well. But that's more neither here nor there. I should put the video for Freak Show up, because that turned out better, because that was just me. So I didn't have to compromise with everyone. That was an 8mm film, so it's really gritty looking and everything.
Oh, I would love that.
But
I've had an idea for something down that realm, and it just hasn't quite panned out yet. But
yeah, well, if you want some help with the experience of that type of film, you know who to send a message to. Yeah, Todd saw some of that stuff once. He's like, dude, you got to do an Immune System or Seven Federations music video. But yeah, that 8mm stuff, I got some pretty good things. And Clint Cleaver, who's played with Ceiling Walker, and I can't remember the name of his most recent band. He didn't play on much we recorded. He was sort of more of a part-time member of Venus and Furs when Joe was like living half the time in Grand Forks. So if Joe can make the gig, and he has his own band, the Decoys, at the time, that we played on the same bill a lot with, but it'd be kind of like he'd just step up from the opening band and play Joe's guitar parts. But he was in the music video, and there's this cheap guitar. It's currently in Sacramento, and I hope I get it back just for the sentimental value. And I hope it ended up way too long story to get into, but with someone who I hope hasn't pawned it for drugs in Sacramento. But $70 musician's friend generic brand Stratocaster. But Joe played it on a lot of early Venus and Furs stuff because it played well. But we're like, okay, no one's going to be crying if this guitar bites the dust. So we had a scene where Clint's in my driveway, tosses the guitar up in the air like they used to do Nirvana and everything, and catches it. No. And it's like, wow, we got that. And he starts playing the solo and everything, because it's like, I thought it was just going to splatter all over the driveway and the guitar would be in 3 pieces, but we're like, it's worth taking that chance. But he caught it, and just, that's one of the coolest shots in the video now. So that's, the guitar's been through it a lot, but it still plays and sounds good. And
it's still there.
I hope it's in California. Whoever has it is making good music with it, not letting it sit in a corner.
Yes. All right. Anything left for the good of the order here?
Well, yeah, it's weird. It feels like we're just getting started, and it's already. Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2. I'm up for this anytime. In fact, this being kind of last minute because the other guy couldn't make it.
Yep.
It's kind of like I've been with. I live like maybe 4 blocks from Ken, so oftentimes I'm a last minute live DJ if someone can't make it. As long as I know a few days in advance, you need a last minute guest on here. I've probably always got something to talk about. It's weird realizing we're going back like 20 years talking about this, because it's like I'm on Modern Rock Worldwide with Ken. It's probably been 6 months since I've been there, so it's like, what have you been doing that's new? And this is like, what have you been doing since you started Venus and Furs? But yeah,
it's crazy when you start telling stories and you realize they go back decades.
Yeah, it's weird. But I suppose the visual art, we saw a couple of pictures, but I should maybe mention a little bit more just because there's some things on display at the moment. In fact, I've got them in my handy notes on my phone so I don't forget about the names of the places. But I think there's some pictures of the pieces from the solo exhibition and some other ones. That's the human rights one we talked about. It's on tour. And yeah, that picture, which it's El Bernal, the one from Mexico I mentioned, might be on the chat room. There's a long distance collaboration. It's mixed media. She took some photos. I printed them out, did a collage, painted over them, did like texturing stuff. So it's an interesting long distance collaboration. That's what a lot of my mixed media things, they're collages, but I take the photos, so it's not like magazine pictures or anything. It's photos I actually took and digitally manipulated. In that case, it's all. That's called Lost Girl. That's at Gallery 4 for the remainder of the month.
That keeps your eye moving.
I really like how that turned out. She's a great collaborator. Yeah, those are from last fall, the exhibit at the Spirit Room. They're presumably at the Moorhead Public Library. Actually, I haven't had a chance to look at what's on display there, but process of elimination with that huge one still being at the Spirit Room, and the guitar piece and another sculpture being back at my house, I kind of know what the rest of what's on display there because they didn't have room for sculpture things. You can check those out and a bunch of other stuff in the Moorhead Public Library.
Ding, ding. Just quickly go through those.
That's the Weeping Woman. That's one that John Jano did a off-the-cuff video tour of this on Facebook, and he mentioned that as one of his favorites. So one of the favorites of a lot of people who are there, it seems like. Yeah, those are a couple other, and those are all mixed media too, like pictures I took, digitally manipulated, printed out, cut up, painted over.
That's a process involved.
Yeah, I was talking to Holly, the curator at the Spirit Room, and a friend of mine, and we were talking about pricing the pieces because usually it's like, okay, photo print this size, frame, whatever, it probably goes for this much, which some of my pieces are acrylic painting on the side canvas. She's like, I have no idea because I don't even know what medium you call this art. I'm like, I don't know either. I'll just put various prices, and if they sell, it's right. If they sell real quick, it's probably too low. If they don't sell, it's probably too high. So that's why I just kind of say mixed media.
I like that.
So that's the other one that's at Gallery 4. It's officially called King Carrion Has Come, which is kind of a sequel piece to one I did for the Crow Show they do every 2 years at the Spirit Room called King Carrion Will Come. Last time I got out of the house before COVID, and knowing how crazy those 2 years were, it was a very apocalyptic one with that. I call the character Nimdok, but the guy with the top hat and the crow on his shoulder. So I made one that's actually 3D, and he's like emerging from it. And I just wrote, I told you. It's like, this crazy apocalyptic stuff is coming. 2 years later, I should make one. He's here. You should have listened to him. The world's going to be chaos starting next month through 2022, still getting back to normal. Yeah, those are some, or that last one. Yeah, that's me playing the bone guitar. Again, Jason Siebold, that's all in camera. He'd do things like take a slow shot, run through it really fast, get a blur effect. So that, like, electricity looking thing. That could be from him running through there or shining some kind of light. That guy's a photography wizard, like we were saying before I came on here.
That boy ain't right.
Yeah, that boy's got something. That's like we were saying about the creative people. We're all a little weird, but we do stuff that someone with a normal mindset probably wouldn't think to do. Yeah, that's a piece I actually sold to the Democratic governor candidate for the 2020 election, Dr. Shelley Lenz. I hope it doesn't bother her saying that she collects goth artwork. It says it's a super gothic one. It references The Crow, the Brandon Lee movie. More the graphic novel than the movie, but the crows whispering from the shadows, don't look, don't look. And then I printed out on like textured canvas type paper this picture of a model, and then with charcoal, covered her eyes so she's not looking. And then those crows, which I drew freehand and scanned and printed out, so I had many more crows. And then I just wrote in with, I think, some kind of chalk pencil, maybe something. I wrote in all the don't look, don't look, don't look. It's like, that's cool. Someone going for governor bought that. It's like, make North Dakota goth again.
Yes.
And Doug Burgum's got so much money. I always make hints like, you're not a real North Dakota politician if you don't have an Adam Bursack original now. It's like, Dougie, we're waiting for that 4x5 foot enormous canvas. Maybe you want to come pay a few $1,000s for that, Dougie. You're buying every building downtown. You got the money. Come on, I invited him to this podcast, actually. I'm friends. This shows
Good.
I'm, neutral to all sides. I'm friends with both Dr. Lenz and Doug Burgum on Facebook. So both candidates are Facebook friends. So anything that's a fundraiser or everything, traditionally I invite Doug Burgum. One of these times, maybe he'll throw some money towards Ken's FM or the artwork.
Or get that Bursack original.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. If he that's just what governor candidates do. They got their Adam Bursack original painting. Or guitar, if I don't know, maybe we've got a guy.
There's a good picture of that thing. Yep.
Yes, one of those secret. Paul Wellstone from Minnesota. He's a guitar player as a hobby. Read that in an forum interview or something. Again, my archive mind that has no reason to remember that, but maybe he'll buy that guitar. It'll move to the Minnesota politicians buy my stuff.
There we go. Let's see. Nope, then we're back to the beginning. There's a bunch more photos we need to get to, but we are basically out of time.
Yeah, it'd be great, whether it's a fill-in or a planned one to do a part 2 or part 3 or everything.
Oh, yeah. I'll get you booked before you leave. I'll just say that.
Cool.
So
yeah, just scratching the surface, so it's kind of to be continued.
Exactly. Aren't these fun?
They are fun, and I'll put some references and stuff like that song I said I'd play by Understudy in this Sunday's Adams Archive, which I'll say again at 7 to 9 p.m. 89.1 KNNZ FM.
Get in and listen.
Sunday nights.
Get in and listen. All right, and we got a bunch of the other things that you can connect to Adam if you'd like to down below and all that stuff. And you can find us on Uptown Tonight Podcast at Gmail, or just go to uptownbandfargo.com/podcast, and you can find out all the fun stuff about Uptown's up to and the podcast as well. And we're on all the social medias, from the TikToks down to the Instagram. So you can find us there at Uptown Band Fargo or Uptown Tonight Podcast. Either one, you will usually find your way to at least this place, or at least to me. So remember, if your drummer's got more charisma than your front man, your band may be in trouble.
That was with Tessa. I really had to keep up with the charisma.
But that's why my band's doing just fine.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's just a little baby turtle. Look at him go.